everybody. Shalom. My name is Jeff, and I am a full-time student of this Bible. So, I am new to YouTube. I am not much of a Facebooker, but I feel compelled to take you on this learning journey with me. So, I don't edit. Good for you. Excellent. And I'm going to have to learn to do that, so stick with me. But in the meantime, I'm sorry, but anywho, I see what I mean? I'm just losing stuff already. So, anyway, sorry I'm in such a great mood. I just feel so good to be sharing this word with you guys, and it puts me in such a hugely uplifted mood. So, anyhow, I'm going to get kind of right to it. I am, again, a full-time student. There's a bunch of things I've learned along the last 2 years, learning from this Bible, the way it was written, and the meanings within the words, and everything about it I've been learning from. I haven't picked some teacher or some person on TV or some YouTube channel or whatever and just go ahead and parroted all the words what they're telling me to. I believe the things contained in these pages, word for word, the way they're written, and the things I don't understand, I hope to understand. I do. I truly hope to understand. And in learning these things, I found deeper hidden meanings. And one of those things, out of many of those things I want to share with you, one of those things is about the hidden time in our Savior, not hidden, but the time we don't see in our Savior's history, between the time he was a teenager on up to the time he was in his 30s. So we picked him up at 32, but we don't know what he was doing for the years before that. He just sort of came off the map right at puberty. Went off the map right around that time, and so we have a few clues in Scripture that all of us already might know, and we know one thing is that he was extremely great with Scripture, and he was really good with the teachings of Torah, even at a very young age, like 12 and under. He already had a very vivid understanding of it, enough to that where it impressed everybody. All the rabbis were in awe of this little kid who knew the teachings so well and who knew God's law so well. So how did he go from that to being called rabbi or teacher over 60 times when we pick him up at 32? Because all of a sudden he comes back on the map and bang, we start calling him teacher and rabbi. I want to pause right there, and one of the things I want to let you know, I want to give you a little frame of reference about rabbis in the culture. Rabbis were like as popular as like gurus. You see in India, all the people around the gurus, they're very, very popular. Or like what we might call a celebrity, Celebrities get hounded, and people want to be them, and people want to do everything that they do. They want to mimic them, and lots of people look up to those positions, those celebrities, those highly looked up to positions. And being a rabbi in this day and age, back then, in that day and age, I should say, was a position of great importance. Kids wanted to be you, women wanted to be with you, men wanted to be like you, that kind of thing. Sorry to get so crass right there, but I'm just busking. I'm playing it off the cuff. So anyway, but you get the point. It was very awesome to be a rabbi. So I want to go into the missing time between him being called rabbi 60 times and this incredible knowledge that he seemed to have at a young age. Let's fill in this gap with some context, because if we don't understand it, it's not for any reason. If we don't understand these concepts, it's because we don't understand the context, and we have to get out of our own mindset and our own way of thinking and learning and kind of have a paradigm shift and sort of understand with a Hebrew mentality and mindset. And we have to get past our own Greek way of thinking when it comes to the Bible and really dig into the Hebrew way of thinking and try to see it through the eyes and imagine what it is they saw, what it is they experienced, how they experienced it, what the things they did looked like, what did their ceremonies look like, what did it mean to be a rabbi or a teacher. So anyway, a rabbi by definition, is a master or a teacher. Those two words are synonymous, master and teacher. You'll hear them called master, you'll hear them called teacher, you'll hear them called rabbi. They all mean the same thing. A rabbi is a person qualified to expound and apply the... I'm going to mispronounce these Hebrew words, so take it easy on me. I'm new. Again, I'm a student. Don't hold it against me. Let me get a little bit of water. Don't hold this against me. Definition of rabbi. Master, teacher, synonymous. Yep, did that. Okay. Qualified to expound and apply the halakha and other Mosaic law. Also, a person trained and ordained for leadership, specifically the leadership of a Hebrew congregation. So, just to give you an idea of what a rabbi is. So, we all know the Great Commission. In the Great Commission, here in the Bible, in Matthew 28, it asks us to go forward and make disciples of all nations. Right? Disciples. Not just telling them the word and understanding the name Jesus, but actually making disciples. Now I want to get into a little bit of what it means to be a disciple. Disciple in the Hebrew is talmid. Talmid, let's see here, is a Hebrew noun meaning disciple. All right. Disciple means learner or pupil. I'm going through my notes, as you guys can see, and I'm a very sloppy writer. I have what some might call an ADD mind, a very disorganized mind. But I promise you I'm going somewhere with this. Stick with me. I promise you there's a payoff here. So it means learner or pupil. So after this Bet Sefer, this area of time from 6 to 12, the kids who show promise learning Torah and memorizing it get pulled into what's called Midrash. Midrash goes from 13 to 15. Midrash is an interpretive act that seeks to answer questions in the Bible through interpreting the words and finding the deeper meaning. I think I went through that. 2 parts to Midrash, right? There's Halakha, which I mentioned earlier, and that's the part that studies the law and how to practice the law. And there's Agadah, or telling. They make homilies or parables based on the Torah. So that may have piqued your ears, the parables bit there. And I'd like to share something with you here from Matthew 13:13. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, By hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. And for those people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. Right? He's speaking in parables, so in a way that they can understand. And that is one of the things that they learn going through Midrash, is how to make the kingdom's principles, the instructions, the Torah means instructions, or law, but instructions, how to turn that into stories normal people can understand. They're illustrating the kingdom, like you used to hear in church. They're telling all about the kingdom and the kingdom principles. And most people in the Christian church might not understand that those are the teachings laid out in Torah. Those are the kingdom's laws, the rules, the rules to live by. So anyhow, the thing about this is it in practice, it assumes God's law is kind of too generalized for their own modern times. And so they extend the law beyond the conditions assumed in the Bible. So they'll interpret it in a way that fits their lives. And you got to understand, this is what the Pharisees were doing, and this was the whole beef between our Savior and the Pharisees, was this teaching that they were taking God's law and turning it into their own thing that became a stumbling block, when God's law was very simple, and it all boiled down to love. When you keep it, it's all about love. And it's very easy to do as as you have love for God, true love, not just the word love, but true, deep down in your heart and soul love for God and for other people, you will do these things. So anyway, that's why he came, to simplify it. And he came to take the bad teachings from the good and say, God's law is perfect. The stuff that these people have made up is not perfect. And not only that, but it's become a stumbling block, and you've used it to judge each other, and that was never the point. So anyhow, that whole practice of halakha, or in midrash, is one of the things it's what he was speaking against. He was ragged against it, and he kept quoting from their teachings, and saying how they were throwing people off, and just sort of. You just look into it for yourself with that in mind, and you'll see exactly what I mean. So anyway, the people that are the best of out of the midrash, right? They go ahead from ages 15 to 30, and they are chosen to be talmidim. Talmidim is disciples. They get chosen to be disciples, and a disciple is someone who shadows. A disciple is a learner or a pupil, and they shadow a rabbi. Okay. So. I think it's very interesting. I think it's very, very interesting at this point that disciple in church, disciple has just become show up and learn in church on Sunday, or just hear what the teacher says, and boom, you're a disciple, or learn some things about Jesus, and you start to understand some things about him, and yep, you're a disciple. But discipleship it's so much more than that. Okay. For example, they would be invited by a rabbi, right? I've got it in my notes here because I get off track a lot, so I got to keep it on the rails. See, I'm doing it right there. They would be invited by a rabbi to study under them, and they would literally do everything the rabbi did, the exact way their teacher would do it, especially in areas of understanding the Torah and who God was. The overall goal was to become the man their teacher was. So they'd leave home and they'd shadow this person. They'd go with them. They would go everywhere. They'd take them places, and they'd go everywhere to learn a lesson. They might travel for 3 days just to learn a lesson that might last 10 minutes. But it would illustrate to them so that they could understand it. Remember, that's why he spoke in parables, those lessons, so that they would understand it. It's just a whole deeper level of understanding. So now you have these disciples, these people that would go on to be the apostles, and they were learning. They were learning what to do, and they were commissioned with making disciples out of other people, which is what we're commissioned to do, is to make disciples out of other people. Not just tell them the word, but help them by example to learn it, to do it. Teach them in their language, in the way that they learn best, how to live out the foundation of all this, which is Torah, which is the instructions. So anyway, from 15 to 30, they would be shadowing and learning a trade, and we all know he was a carpenter. So they'd be learning a trade and doing all this stuff to become a rabbi, and to become exactly like their rabbi was, like a carbon copy of the person their rabbi was. And so, again, when we're asked to be disciples, that means more than just to be a hearer of the word. It says to hear and do. It means we become like the person that's teaching. We become like them. We do like them. We don't, identify with our jobs and our 9 to 5. We don't pursue our own things. We do what he did, the way he did it. And if we're not doing that, then we need to examine where in our life we're not doing that. But anyway, I'm kind of getting off the track again. So from 15 to 30, he's off doing. He's part of this Talmudim, he's a disciple. He's learning. He wasn't born and automatically implanted with all the words of God. His human brain had to learn these things, or at least go through the process that everyone else did, so that they would take him seriously. But he still had to go through an educational system. No matter what he knew, no matter what his talents were, he went through this educational system. That, ironically, he would go on to speak against over and over again, all through the Gospels. And so not only did he rise up and tell people to open their eyes and open their ears and to do God's word only, but he rose up against his own culture, against his own background, his own teaching. And I think for me that's pretty amazing. He was a renegade, and it's not just that he was God-hating evil, but he was also a guy who came up in this culture, who was fighting against this culture and educating the people around him who had been miseducated by this big bloated law, stumbling block, leavened loaf of an instruction that they had developed, and it's all through the gospel. So where was I? So he was raging against this culture. And then this is where they start calling him teacher and rabbi. But what's very interesting is you get a new idea of why someone might cast down their nets and leave their families without saying goodbye. So at 32 years old, he's already had 2 years, because he's graduated, quote unquote, he's graduated at 30 from the Talmudim, and he is now a rabbi. And now he's gone around for 2 years, and not only that, but he's a rabbi from Galilee. That's like being the Super Bowl champion if you're a football player. It's not just a football player, it's the football, player. Like, if you're from Galilee, that everyone wanted to be just like you. So these men that have gone on to learn their family trades that weren't good enough to be elected or to be brought into Talmudim by a rabbi just got asked by the most popular, best rabbi that anybody's ever seemed to know, and from Galilee, hey, come be like me. What person in their right mind in that culture wouldn't throw everything down, say goodbye, knowing that your parents would understand? Trust me, they would understand, and they'd be proud. I'm sure of it. And so you get more of a context as to why people would just throw everything down and go follow him. And in learning in the last 2 years, in learning these things in here, I started to understand that there's a code of conduct, and this code of conduct is what Yahushua was illustrating the whole time. He was living it out. Paul was reminding people, Paul, he was reminding people over and over again, hey guys, keep the commandments. Hey guys, if you love God, you'll keep his commandments. Not that stumbling block of a law that the bad teachers kept teaching you. So don't fall in cracks of the pressure of going back to that law that's around you that they keep teaching you. That's not God's law, but their own form of law. That's just a nightmare, a legalistic nightmare. God's simple law that teaches love, not judgment. Love. It teaches love, love, love. And it's very, very simple to get, as long as you have love in your heart and you want to get it. If you're going to fight it, you're going to fight it. And that's your own rebellious heart. But I pray for you on that. I really do. I really pray that he can touch your heart the way that mine was touched, so that you can want to get this. So that's his missing years. He was training to become a rabbi, guys. That's it. Simple, easy, sleek, provable in the word, okay? Fits the context, fits culturally. It even fits the word from him knowing what he should have known from the time of that Sefer, whatever, to coming through to being a Talmudim. All of it, to making disciples, to being a disciple, to learning what it means to be just like the teacher or the rabbi. That's what he was teaching his apostles to do. That's what he asked us to do. Not just hear his word, but to hear it and do it, to be just like him, right? Because look at the damage that he caused to the system that was, to the enemy, to the bad teaching, to the corrupted minds. Look at the damage one person could do. One single one. Okay? God sent himself, came as a human, himself came, one person, set a few people straight, and made such an impact on history that they killed him. And then our own calendar, even to this day, 2,000 years later, is split in time. AD, BC, because of him. That's how big of an impact he had. Seems little, but that's pretty big, And imagine if we all did what he did. imagine if we all did what he did, the immense amount of damage we could do to the enemy and his bad teaching and his infrastructure. Just imagine it. If we're to be just like him, look what he did. Imagine what all of us could do, right? Oh my goodness. Anyway, I'm going to stop right there. And I'm just going to kind of close on that. I want you guys to keep learning with me. I'm going to keep learning. And the fun thing we're going to be doing soon is here in this third year of learning, we're going to be hitting the road in our old Volkswagen bus. Woo-hoo! We're going to be hitting the road, and we're going to be going everywhere. If you have any ideas where we should go to learn, if you know anybody we don't know who you think we should check out, if they have cool teachings, and you feel that they're biblical enough for us to check out, we'll go look into them. We'll see if what they're teaching lines up with the Word, and we'll hear out their perspectives. You know, because that's always a good thing, you know. The Holy Spirit uses people to teach all the time. But and those are the people I'm interested in meeting. We're going to be meeting people. We're going to be helping people out who need food and who need clothes and who need someone to love them and teach them about the true Word, you know, not the word that the church is teaching that makes them feel like they're not worthy so much, you know, but that they are true royalty and children of God, like really, you know, and that they're actually further ahead than most people because they don't have to give up everything to go follow him. Everything already got given up for them. So anyway, I just really look forward to speaking with a lot of people and to helping a lot of people, to be a servant to people, to learn. And we're going to take you on this journey with us and find other things in the Bible, other treasures and in our learning adventure. So come on this disciples journey with us. We'll be leaving after Passover, which is halfway through April, and we'll be getting on the road and documenting this whole thing for the next year. You can text us, you can email us, you can hit up our Facebook page, you can hit up our YouTube, you know, whatever. Let's talk, let's fellowship, man. Let's do it. All right.